All right, hello everyone. I do see some folks trickling in slowly, so I am going to give it a second. Welcome everyone to the Healthy Building webinar series. As you join today, please go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat, and also let us know if you are excited for fall or if you are if you don't want summer to end. My name is Kayla Musil. I am the program manager for the U.S. Green Building Council of West Michigan, and I am very excited for fall. I do like the colder weather. So today we're going to be talking about Green Globes and BREEAM with Emily Bowers and Nina Armstrong from the Green Building Initiative and Alan Robles from BRE. We're very excited to have you all here and to get to know these certifications a little bit better. In addition to the chat feature at the bottom of the screen, there is the Q&A, and we do ask that you try to put your questions in the Q&A just to keep us a little more organized for the Q&A session, but feel free to continue to use the chat for any any quick questions or logistical questions, and also any comments you might have. Oops. Coming up next in the Healthy Building webinar series, we will have 3 more, one in September, October, and November. October's date will be changing, so just keep an eye out for that in our upcoming newsletters. We'll have more information on that, and also the content that will be coming up for those future webinars. If you were unable to make the previous ones, or if you would like to check out our content, you can do so at our YouTube channel. The link is at the bottom. These slides will be sent out at the end as well, so you'll have access to that. But also, if you just go to YouTube and search USGBC West Michigan, you'll find us. If you are enjoying our content and you'd like to become a member, if you haven't already, you can do so with this QR code. I will also have Allie put the link in the chat, just so you can have that as a reference as well. If you are already a member, we thank you for your support. We can't do this work without you. And I also want to mention that if anyone has any ideas for future webinars, any content or topics that you'd like to learn more about, feel free to reach out to any of us. We'd love to hear from you. Also, a huge thank you to our visionary supporters, as always, DTE, Consumers Energy, Eagle, and the WEGI Foundation. So we're going to start with Emily and Nina talking about Green Globes, and then we'll have Alan present on BREEAM, and then we'll have a 10 to 15 minute Q&A at the end. So I will stop sharing my screen and let you two kick it off.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, can everyone see my screen? Great. So my name is Nina Armstrong. I am a manager of client services and engagement with the Green Building Initiative. I am very sad that summer is ending. Summer is definitely one of my favorite seasons. And we're really excited to talk to you about Green Globes today. So I'm going to pass it over to Emily Bowers to get us started.
Thank you, Nina. I appreciate that. And just as an aside, Nina is dialing in from Portland, Oregon. So it's quite early there. She's a trooper today to be with us on the East Coast. Like she mentioned, my name is Emily Bowers. I'm the Director of State and Local Engagement at the Green Building Initiative. And I am thrilled for fall to be right around the corner. I know that I'm talking to some Michigan folks. I don't know if I should say go green or go blue. I know it's a pretty divided state, but we're really excited for fall. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and the heat is just next level. So very excited about that. We're also excited to be with you today and talk a little bit about the Green, I see a go green comment, great. The Green Building Initiative and Green Globes. We're going to be focusing on Green Globes for existing buildings primarily throughout the certification. Please let us know if you have any questions through the duration of this presentation. Use the chat feature. You know, we want this to be collaborative, and we're very excited about the Q&A feature at the very end. So Nina, if you don't mind, you can advance the slide. All right, so the Green Building Initiative is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Our mission is to mitigate climate impacts through the built environment, and we do that through education, standards, assessments, and developing an inclusive, collaborative global network. One thing that you'll see throughout the duration of this presentation is that we really believe in better buildings together. It's a core tenet of who we are as an organization and a staff. We really feel like we can meet communities where they are, and we all can be doing our part to create more sustainable, resilient, and energy efficient buildings. We deliver our tools through 2 different programs: Green Globes, like I mentioned, we'll be focusing on that today, and a guiding principles compliance verification that is tailored specifically for the federal government, and it's recognized by different groups like the DoD and VA. And while we're not going to be focusing on guiding principles compliance verifications today, if you have any questions, do let me know. I'm happy to share any more information after this if you're more interested on some of our federal projects. Next slide, please. Okay. I love this slide. It's one of my very favorites. It is really just a great reflection of our impact to date. And as of 2022, GBI has certified over 500 million square feet globally through Green Globes. And that's just something that we're very, very proud of. To date, we have certified 975 projects through that guiding principles compliance verification that I just mentioned. We have 500 projects that are currently in progress, which shakes out to be just over 97 million square feet. So 6.9 million square feet of that 500 million have been certified in Michigan. I'll be talking a little bit about that later on and just our impact throughout the state, but we do have a presence in Michigan right now, and we're excited to continue that relationship build throughout the state. All right. So GBI is a very, very proud standards ANSI developer. We have been working with ANSI and gaining that ANSI accreditation since 2005. And we actually, as of 2010, were the very first green building certification to be recognized by the ANSI accreditation process. And we were recognized for our Green Globes for Commercial Green Building Standard. And the ANSI accreditation process is a very, very arduous consensus body process that, if you have any understanding of the public comment process, is quite arduous. We work with a lot of our subject matter experts to make sure that we are creating something that is, I'm so sorry, I'm having some sound issues. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm getting some alerts. Okay, wonderful. I apologize for that. So we really work to make sure that we are creating something that is up to date and sound and very reflective of the trends in green building at the moment. So this ANSI accreditation process is a very hands-on, arduous public comment consensus body process. Okay, next slide, please. And just to share a little bit more about what our ANSI accreditation is, we had over 100 meetings in 2019 that were just specific to our new construction for 2021 Green Globes standard. 219 comments were submitted, 86% of which were accepted without modification, which is a great success. And we had over 16 subcommittees and task groups formed to just analyze what it is we were releasing through our Green Globes standard. So it is very hands-on, and all over 500 stakeholder organizations from a variety of disciplines participated in that development process. So again, we just really work with communities and make sure that what we're releasing is up to date and sound for the market. We're very, very proud of this ANSI accreditation. All right, and I'm going to hand it over to Nina, and hopefully won't have any more sound issues moving forward.
Yeah, thank you so much, Emily. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our Green Globes rating system. So Green Globes is North America's first interactive design guidance, environmental assessment, and rating tool. And it began back in Canada in 2000. And then in 2004, GBI obtained the license for the US market for Green Globes. And then in 2013, Green Globes was recognized and recommended for use by the GSA and the DOE. And then in 2017, GBI obtained the global rights to Green Globes. And this was really the first opportunity that GBI had to reinvest in the brand. And then in 2019, Green Globes was again recognized and recommended by GSA for use on federal buildings. And then currently, we have adopted a 3-year plan to expand operations globally. And we're really focusing in on the next 12 to 18 months on Europe and Mexico, as well as the development of our software into 4 languages in order to support our expanding clientele. And Green Globes is recognized by a really wide variety of organizations. So we're approved as a Tier 1 certification by GRESB, and we're also approved for use by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac for their multifamily incentive programs. And then as mentioned before, we have been recognized by GSA in 2 published studies. The first one was in 2013, and then again in 2019 for use on federal buildings. And we're also recognized by the Department of Veterans Affairs. And at this point, we've certified over 300 VA buildings. So yeah, Green Globes has been used to certify a really wide variety of sustainable buildings, both in the public and the private sectors. So a couple of private sector users for Green Globes include clients like Whole Foods Market, Price Chopper, Fidelity Investments, Internap, and Drexel University. And then some public sector clients include some federal government agencies such as the Department of Veterans Affairs, GSA, NASA, the NIH, as well as the Forest Service. And then various different state, county, and city governments also have used Green Globes to certify their buildings. And then, yeah, so you can really certify a very wide variety of building types through Green Globes. So we don't certify single family residentials, but as you can see from this list, we really do just about everything else. And this is possible because Green Globes is a really flexible and adaptable rating system. So we certify data centers, warehouses, multifamily buildings, casinos, and this flexibility is something that really sets Green Globes apart. So now I'm going to pass it back to Emily.
Thank you, Nina. All right, so Green Globes is explicitly written into legislation or regulatory language in the following areas. At present, we do not have any sort of commitment to be recognized within Michigan. However, we're very eager to continue working with different jurisdictions at the local level to support all of the green building initiatives that are currently happening. We're very, very eager to expand out towards that area. One thing I like to say is that green building policy often moves west to east and then down south, but what we're seeing is a lot of our Midwest states are just doing some incredible things. And so we're really excited to support not only USGBC's chapter in BREEAM in this area, but also just to continue to support our advocates in the Michigan area who are doing some fantastic green building work. Next slide. Okay. So I did want to just, include a few projects that have certified through Green Globes in the Lansing area, as well as some of our other Western Michigan properties. So I mentioned that we have certified over 6.9 million square feet in the state. And I wanted to just share all of the different types of buildings that we have certified. So here's just a brief snapshot. We've done everything from grocery stores like Whole Foods to medical centers to some campuses. Right now we have the Oakland campus that is designated to a technology center. And so we really do just work with a variety of different building types in the commercial and multifamily front. But it's been a very exciting process to be able to work with a variety of different Michigan properties. And this is just a great snapshot of the different folks that we work with. All right, so we are a 3-in-1 certification. Nina showed a slide previously that recognized GBI through GRESB. I'm not sure if you saw that designation. GRESB stands for Global ESG Benchmark for Real Estate or Real Assets. And as such, Green Globes is included in social and governance criteria, which supports ESG and CSR reporting through GRESB. Green Globes, as I mentioned, is a 3-in-1 certification. We evaluate the environmental sustainability, health and wellness, and resilience of individual buildings or entire portfolios. This is something that is very important to us. In 2021 alone, there was over $357 billion globally invested into ESG fund assets. I don't think these ESG initiatives and goals are going away anytime soon. So we're excited to continue supporting a variety of different portfolios as they try to achieve, this ESG criteria. And if you don't mind, Nina, we can just go ahead and advance and talk a little bit about the environmental assessment areas in Green Globes. All right, so we have 3 different breakdowns for environmental assessment areas through Green Globe certification. And today we're going to be focusing on existing buildings a bit more. Existing buildings for 2021 is made up of 6 environmental assessment areas: ESG management that I just mentioned, site, energy, water, materials, and indoor environmental quality. And we weight these differently. I have a breakdown moving forward, but we really put a lot of emphasis in energy and water efficiency, as well as that ESG management criteria. And here's just another great snapshot of our programs and protocols: new construction, sustainable interiors, and existing buildings. And we do certify multifamily properties under both existing buildings and new construction. And here is that breakdown of our point allocation. As you can see, ESG management does get 105 points through certification, but really what we put a lot of stake in is weighting energy and indoor environmental quality at a different rigor. So 310 points for energy, whereas we have 205 points for indoor environmental quality for existing buildings. So you can just really shake out and see how we weight these different areas, these environmental assessment areas, as we're taking an existing building through certification. All right, so here's just a snapshot of our Green Globes for existing buildings eligibility. One thing that I think is interesting about Green Globes is that if you are certifying in existing buildings, it takes an average of about 3 to 5 months for a project to go through certification, and an average of 4 to 6 months for a new construction to go through certification, excluding design and build time, which is pretty expedited. However, we do need a few things, including 12 consecutive months of normalized energy and water performance data. We recommend that the building owner evaluate operations, management, and actual performance under the Green Globes for Existing Buildings program. So we really try to look at the building, the energy performance, and what has been done in the former year. And then we also require that you monitor performance data and certify every 3 to 5 years under Green Globes for existing buildings. So you're making those changes so that you can have a better building, that you are as sustainable, efficient, and resilient as possible. And you're monitoring those technological changes every 3 to 5 years. All right, and here's just a snapshot of that existing building assessment process. You can see from the project manager and client service questionnaire that is completed to scheduling on-site assessments with our Green Globes assessors. Nina is going to highlight on that in just a moment. Looking at on-site review in our final report, going through our internal reviews, and issuing a final report through certification. So again, looking at 3 to 5 months for certification for an existing building program. And I will pass it over to Nina to go over our rating system breakdown and how we analyze those points in different levels of certification.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emily. So I will speak a little bit to our Green Globes program features, or so to our rating system. So each Green Globes program and protocol is based out of a maximum of 1,000 total points, and criteria is weighted according to environmental impact. So not all criteria are going to be weighted the same. Our certifications consist of 4 levels of certification. So we have 1 through 4 Green Globes, with 4 Green Globes being the highest level of certification. And ratings are based off of the percentage of points achieved out of the total number of applicable points to each specific project. And buildings have to achieve a minimum threshold of 35% of the applicable points in order to achieve certification. So I'll talk a little bit about some of our program features. So the interactive online questionnaire is the Green Globes criteria that has been turned into a question set for ease of use. And the software is really very user-friendly and intuitive. So you'll see that responses are saved and the questionnaire updates the score automatically as you progress through. There are no prerequisites. So within Green Globes, criteria is weighted according to environmental impact. We weigh energy and water the most heavily. And then having this weighted criteria also negates the need for prerequisites. And with this approach, we're able to really provide a really holistic view of a building by providing credit for sustainability measures rather than penalizing for a lack of prerequisites. The online questionnaire has also non-applicable or NA options for many of the criteria. And even if the questionnaire doesn't allow for an NA response, your assigned assessor does have the authority to award an NA response where it's justified. There will be some criteria that are ineligible for an NA designation, but there is no penalty for an NA response. So NA points are deducted from the overall applicable points, and this lowers the denominator when calculating the project score. So essentially, these responses make other criteria worth just a little bit of a higher percentage. There also are criteria that provide points based upon a threshold value. So there would be higher points for higher achievement levels. And assessors can use their professional judgment to award partial credit if the credit was intended, but not, like quite fully executed. And then within the criteria, there might be more than one option to achieve points, and these are labeled as different paths you can take. And this really provides a lot of flexibility for the project team to achieve points. And then a couple of other features of Green Globes includes an on-site assessment by a sustainability expert. And this is your assessor who is assigned specifically to your project. Your assessor will also create detailed assessment reports, and these are populated and available within your account and within our online system. And then you also have access to a dedicated GBI project manager, as well as access to technical experts once your project is registered. So the client services team really helps you through the entire process and is always there to answer questions and help give guidance. And then I'll talk a little bit about our software. So our Green Globe software is really very interactive and intuitive. So you'll see that there are additional information pop-ups, and these include tooltips, assessment guidance, references, as well as scoring matrices. There's an activity log, and this allows you to exchange comments and attach supporting documentation to particular criteria. And this can be for review by your assessor, as well as for communication within the project team. We also have detailed assessment reporting, and this includes a detailed scoring breakdown, point variances, a verification required section, as well as recommendations from your assessor. We have performance tracking, so project teams can actually track energy, water, waste, and emissions data directly within our software. And then our software also offers comparison reporting, and this can be within one portfolio or even comparing across multiple portfolios. And yeah, now I will pass it back to Emily to finish us off.
Thank you, Nina. Now I just want to highlight briefly our distinction in health and wellness. In response to the increased need for building owners to demonstrate the attainment of ESG goals that I mentioned previously, the Green Building Initiative has launched a new health and wellness certification celebrating buildings that promote exceptional health and wellness and allowing owners to demonstrate these achievements to stakeholders. We're very excited about this new designation. So GBI for Health and Wellness is a very robust and effective program, and it's based on the core principles that define actions beyond code compliance that project teams must take, and at a minimum to encourage and emphasize the ability of a building to contribute to the health and wellness of occupants. These actions may vary by building type and occupancy. Green building certification is not a one size fits all, and we acknowledge that through this health and wellness designation. But we do want to center our health and wellness around operations and maintenance as well. So not just building type and occupancy, but what's going on the back end with operations and maintenance. And that requires planning and policies to be in place to ensure continuous, repetitive, and have tools in place that anticipate actions in support of the occupants' needs. So we're not only focusing on the building health, but folks that are also occupying the building. I think in the last 2 years, we've certainly seen the occupant health is extremely important. The pandemic has certainly brought that to the surface, and we really want to respond to make sure that we're catering that not only through our ESG principles, but also just analyzing the health and wellness of those that are in the building as well. All right, and we are going to just pivot and kick it over to our friends at BREEAM. But thank you so much. Thanks for bearing with me while I had some back-end technical difficulties. It's been fantastic speaking with all of you, and I look forward to that question and answer period as well. And if you do have any questions, we've shared our information on the screen. Don't hesitate to reach out to Nina and I. We're here to help, and we look forward to working with Western Michigan and the state as a whole in the next year. So as you guys continue to implement your great green building policies.
Excellent job. Thank you so much, Nina and Emily, for your review. So I'm going to go ahead and say a couple things first. Do not adjust your television screens or computer screens. Yes, this is my hair. I did want to also just want to check to make sure that you all can see my screen, which should be happening in a few moments. Hopefully everything works out okay. Can you all see my screen okay?
Looks good.
Excellent. All right. So rock and roll. Also, shout out to my Michiganders. I spent a summer in Ann Arbor, so unfortunately that naturally aligns with the Go Blue side of things, but please don't hate me, just the messenger. I also, I think, just really awaiting for summer already, just because, being based in San Francisco, it lends itself to making it so that we don't know what that looks like between the months of June and August. So can't wait for fall when we start to get a little bit warm again. Just wanted to provide some context about what we'll be covering over the next 20 minutes or so, provide a little bit of a foundation about building research establishment and BREEAM, followed by a preview of our program, BREEAM in use for existing buildings, and then talk a little bit about how it's been adopted within the Midwest as well as in the US in 2022, and then following up with just some quick recap about how it's being leveraged here in the US. So to get us started, behind BREEAM, there is the Building Research Establishment, or BRE. We are a building science research organization that is headquartered out of the United Kingdom, though we also have regional operations throughout the rest of Europe, the US, and also China. And you can kind of think of us as like a bunch of really excitable building science nerds that really put through the rigor and testing of various building materials and innovative solutions for the built environment. So outside of BREEAM, we also do lots of exciting things like fire testing. We fund PhD students for climate change research. We have innovation parks around the world to really stress test the latest and greatest in innovative technologies. So really, we're really excited because all of this has really helped to develop the foundation for our program. And so speaking of, around the 70s and 80s, when sustainability was starting to become an upcoming and nascent term, all of our folks, over the 100 years since we had been founded, we're really starting to put the heads together about, well, how can this align with all of the research that we've been doing for the past 60 years or so? And so we came up with these 3 pillars that really help to define what it means to be a sustainable asset. So not only taking into account the minimization of environmental impacts and also the financial viability and longevity of assets, but also making sure that we're supporting and protecting the human side because without us, we wouldn't have buildings. And so that's something that these 3 components have led to the formation of BREEAM, which is the first green building certification program in the world. We have been adopted in over 89 countries, including in the US. Since our founding in 1990, we have issued over 600,000 certificates globally. So certainly no environment that we can't handle. And yes, we also do have a certification in Antarctica. You don't have to adjust your screens there. So really, it's something that we're really excited to be able to afford the opportunity, for folks in our own backyard. So, and then also I get asked this question a lot. So how do you pronounce it? And so the way I remember it for my own sake of mind is that you combine brie cheese and will.i.am from bucket peas together make BREEAM, and not BREEAM. So if any folks, are saying that, that's probably because they're talking about the fish. But again, just wanted to, we get often asked that question a lot. So next time you're at your networking events, you can be in the know on that. As far as regarding our longevity and applicability of how our reporting standard aligns with some of the more popular or well-known programs here in the US, we have also an alignment with GRESB. We are a tier 1 recognized rating green building rating system program. And then we also, on the health and wellness side, also have really well-established partnerships with IWBI as well as CFAD, which are the folks behind the well and Fitwell rating system programs. And so in the case for when any asset is pursuing certification or doing dual certification for any other projects, we actually possess technical crosswalks between our programs. So one of the beauties of being able to not have to create redundant information for one program to satisfy the needs of the other, there are some components of an alignment. And then also, yes, equally on the Fannie Mae front, we also are recognized for their multifamily green financing program. So that's something that we're super excited about heading as we continue to barrel through 2022. So I'll talk a little bit in depth about our existing building program, because I believe this is the one that has been adopted the most so far here in the US. And so in our in-use program, out the gate, we accommodate and can certify to over 50 different asset classes. And the reason why is because of the building science that has been behind the foundations of our technical rating system. So if there's any of these assets that are in your portfolios or for any of your clients that you're working with, please drop it in the chat. Definitely want to always make sure we're keeping abreast of all the latest and greatest in terms of building science research. But again, as a singular program, any building would be able to certify, including single family homes as well. As far as for how our certification is broken down. So how we do things a little bit differently for existing buildings is that you can certify to 2 different parts independently. And so this really speaks to where an organization or client may have limitations on where they have ownership and control. And so to speak really briefly, under part 1, which is the asset performance, this evaluates the superstructure as well as the energy efficiency of the base building systems. Whereas under part 2, or management performance, this looks at assessing the operational performance of the building. So things like energy consumption data, water consumption data, and the like. And because of the split, it allows for a bit more flexibility into which types of assets can certify to. So in the case of, for example, like a triple net leased building, which is often the case in industrial buildings, for example, there's often the limitation of being able to access tenant data. But with our program, you're able to get started in the absence of having access to that information. So that doesn't present a barrier to be able to certify today. And so regarding our categories, I think this is a common theme that that you'll see across many of the other green building rating systems programs too. I think what I wanted to do is just touch briefly on just how we approach things regarding our health and wellness aspects, as well as some of the other unique features to BREEAM. So to start, for our program, with regards to health and well-being, we address things that are really were made, even more prominent during the pandemic with things like indoor air quality management, whereby we ask for the asset to be able to provide documentation and evidence that they are providing sufficient protections for both the intrusion as well as the presence of indoor combustion air sources for building occupants. So definitely incredibly holistic, but other things that we help to promote include inclusive design, so making sure that folks from all walks of life are able to utilize the space effectively, regardless of ability, access, and the like. And so these are some of the things that are really championed with our approach. Additionally, we also require the safe storage of chemicals when they are present in the building, which again allows for many co-benefits outside of health and wellness outcomes as well. So really, really excited, and definitely can provide a link to our technical standard summary along with our content from today, so that you can get a little bit more insight as to how we address this across all of our categories. Now, a little bit of information about how we do things differently. Just really quickly wanted to note that in our energy category, carbon emissions equivalent is the base metric in which we award points in our program. And so particularly with many more organizations that are spearheading and championing net zero energy goals, it's a really convenient way to be able to have an apples and apples comparison of how your specific building is performing on its potential journey to net zero energy. So in achieving net zero energy in our program, you also effectively are awarded all of the points in our program. Another difference with our program is that at the moment, we do not acknowledge RECs and carbon offsets as part of contributing to the points that are awarded in this program. But again, that's just something that is just from an accounting perspective, that's something that we are looking at how this could look like more in the long term, particularly as that market continues to expand. And so I'll just continue along, as I know we're pressed for a little bit of time. The second piece that is a little bit different from as far as an evaluation perspective is the fact that we also have an explicit category that targets resilience. And so in this case, this looks at evaluating an asset's ability to withstand risks or transitional and climate-related risks with respect to with how it's being able to perform over the longevity of its assets. So it's built in alignment with the TCFD. So a lot of this documentation that you would provide to our program also is in alignment with that, if that's something that is familiar to folks. It stands for the Task Force for Climate-Related Disclosures, for folks who may not know. As for how we award points, similar to Green Globes, we also have a weighted aspect to our various categories that add up to the potential to mitigate and be an exemplar for sustainability performance. So naturally, energy and health and well-being are our two largest categories across both parts. And so that's something that we certainly, again, the way that our program awards the points allows for asset teams to think through seriously more on those categories, while still also considering the others as well in terms of being able to look at sustainability performance more holistically. As for our ratings, so once you answer all the questions in our online platform and obtain a score, that corresponds to a weighting, which is based off the weightings that are established for the different categories. And we have 6 levels of certification, which we expect for the top 75% of buildings globally to achieve a certification level, which is really exciting because it allows for asset classes that may not be the exemplars that they want to be today to shine as at an outstanding level today, that they can at least have a ladder in which they can at least get on at the bottom rung and be able to navigate upwards. And also, furthermore, it allows also for the value of transparency, because I think that's something that is, not as appreciated with certification sometimes, is that, don't let perfection be the enemy of progress. And so by having that transparency, there's a lot of value being able to at least undergo the certification at any level. Now, for how it works, similar process. We do possess an online platform by which any individual person or teams of people can access our platform to be able to answer the questions that are addressed in our full technical standard. And then they also allow for the folks to be able to obtain instantaneous feedback as to how they're performing across our credit categories. So really great benchmarking tool also by proxy. So assuming that the property teams have answered everything within the question set to the best of their ability and would like to proceed with certification, we also possess a license assessor component by which different folks would be able to provide certification services. And in our process, we actually appoint with our process, the client has an opportunity to select the assessor for which they would like to provide certification services. So it's a little bit different, I believe, from the Green Globes approach. But again, still similar in that this appointed person would then come to the site to review all the evidence that was entered into the online platform, followed by conducting a verification piece whereby they would then vet the information that is entered in online, as well as to verify that everything matches up in the real world. We do make publicly available our listing of BREEAM professionals, including those in the Midwest, on our website. And so, also with the content of these slides, I will also make sure that you also have access, that all folks have access to that listing. And similarly, we also do have a quality assurance process by which the information that is deemed certifiable by the license assessor goes through a quality assurance process on our side to ensure the consistency for our rating system. And then followed by that, that's when a certificate is issued to the assessor, who issues that to the client. Also, on average, the totality of the certification process is on average between 3 to 5 months. I have seen this be taken as quickly as 2 months, which we do not recommend because we don't want for you to leave sustainability value on the table, but just know that it is possible. As far as how certification looks like in the US, right now we are a growing program. I believe that we've been here formally since 2016. There was an explosion of certifications over the past couple of years. And so this is actually a snapshot of active certifications as of the end of 2021, of which we are already projecting that we will be doubling or tripling the number of certifications before the end of this calendar year. And so none in Michigan, or there is a project in Michigan, which I believe is an industrial project over in Western Michigan. So hometown pride there. But we are looking forward at the opportunity for the community to take advantage of this program more so in the coming months and years. Just wanted to also just highlight some projects that have certified with BREEAM over the past few years. This is a project from the Phipps Conservatory, which is a botanical garden located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. and a really outstanding exemplar of sustainability performance. They boast net zero energy as well as net zero water for their campus. And so what's really been incredible, in addition to their BREEAM outstanding certification, is also the fact that they were also issued a BREEAM award, which is our global annual gala that we host in the UK every year. So definitely a who's who in terms of ESG and sustainability, which is always really exciting. But yeah, definitely something that we were very proud to have had the US be an example of. And who knows, with more of this the Inflation Reduction Act that just passed yesterday, who knows what more it will be accomplished across all of our programs in the coming years. Additionally, just wanted to highlight just a quick project out of the DC metropolitan area. This is Wash REIT, which is a multifamily based REIT in the DC metropolitan area. They were able to actually execute on BREEAM certification at a very good level, which is our third highest certification level that could be achieved for a set of Class B apartment buildings that were, at first considered to not be high performing, but by proceeding with the BREEAM certification process, we're able to not only unlock financing through this green bond framework that Wash REIT had developed, but additionally through Fannie Mae through the green financing program there. So it's win-win for everyone, and we were super excited to see it through. Other examples, so not just existing buildings. I know we didn't have time to talk about this today, but on the new construction side, we also had just certified our first project here in North America, which is the Mountain Technology Center over here in Tracy, California. So certainly opportunities are abound, not just on the existing building side, but also on the new construction side. And then furthermore, just another example, we have also a global commitment from Iron Mountain to proceed with certifications for their new development for data centers globally. And so that's something that this project, AZP2 out of Phoenix, was actually the first data center to be certified under the BREEAM umbrella for North America. So really excited about that. Also, we just launched a set of new and exciting partnerships here in the US, formerly with EPA through their Energy Star program, whereby we will be creating more crosswalks and integrations between both of our platforms so that you're also, again, creating redundant information. And then furthermore, also have just launched an exciting partnership with Green Lease Leaders, where we are a supporting partner for our folks that are on the tenant side of the equation. So more to come. Really excited to see what the rest of 2022 looks like. And so just to recap very quickly, one of the things that I appreciate with our program is the fact that by the fact that we are an all-in-house building science research organization, that's what drives the updates to our technical standard. We do some light level of engagement on the consulting side, but it allows for the science to really drive through on the updates. So it's the best available science that is out there. We're also able to help out portfolios of any size. So regardless of whether you're looking at a single building or upwards of more than 2,000 buildings, we have the capacity through a really flexible and accessible online platform. And then thirdly, I think this is just going to ring true with both of our programs, is the fact that there's a level of assurance of performance through certification, so that when you're documenting and having reviewed all of the information that is provided by any individual property team or by your client, you're able to have something that is validated by a third party, which increases trust between not only property team members, but also with stakeholders as well. So yeah, that's I think all I've got for today. But yeah, looking forward to connecting with you all during the Q&A session.
Great, thanks, Alan, and thanks, Emily and Nina. Those were both great presentations, really doing a nice overview of both the certifications. It also sounds like you all have some very exciting things in the works as well, which is awesome to hear. So I'm going to pull up the questions real quick. Alrighty, so for Green Globes, we have noticed a great uptake in using Green Globes for federal healthcare projects in recent days and months. Can you speak on this a bit more? Does it relate to the emphasis on ESG?
Yeah, I'll take this one. When I first saw this, I thought, finally, right? Finally, the federal healthcare system, they're making some changes and updates because that was very needed. And I think the pandemic pushed them to make some updates that were needed. But just like individual portfolio owners and building owners, the federal government is also looking at ESG initiatives. I mean, we've seen this with the SEC in the last year. They're doing an all agency approach to try and evaluate ways that they can address ESG initiatives in the marketplace. And we've seen that they have a task force that is evaluating ESG initiatives, and they have a climate task force. And so they're really, really trying to be holistic in their approach. And I think that's fantastic. From a guiding principles compliance verification or the use of Green Globes in these federal projects, I think that it would be pertinent to say that our ease of use and the flexibility of our program is very attractive to some of these projects. You know, these federal building types are often complex, and because we meet building owners where they are, and because we have a flexibility of use through our system, it's very attractive to some of these federal projects. So I'm excited about what all of these different entities are doing. I'm so glad that ESG is being looked at and evaluated from a federal perspective, and it's not just happening in the private marketplace. And I do think it will be interesting to see in the upcoming couple of years to see how they get creative in looking at, you know, the different environmental standards that they're trying to hit at the federal level.
Great, thank you. This one is, how is Green Globes different from BREEAM? And I think Alan touched on this a bit throughout his presentation. So unless there's any more glaring differences you'd like to talk about, we can probably say that one was answered.
Yeah, I think the only difference would be that the assessor is the one who gives the certification, whereas within GBI and Green Globes, that does go back in-house to be reevaluated prior to issuing that certification. So I think that's the largest difference. And then also because we're ANSI accredited and they do that evaluation in-house with their great team. So I think those are the two really glaringly obvious ones.
Okay, great. Alrighty, GBI includes resilience as one of the 3 pillars. What aspects of resilience does Green Globes focus on?
Yeah, so I think the slide that you're referencing was that ESG environmental assessment area, and resilience is new to our existing building standard for 2021. It was released last April, and we do have a constant consensus body, you know, process through issuing our different certifications. We're doing continuous maintenance every 2 years in between the new standards coming out. And so you will see some updates as we have those released to market. But for this particular question, resilience incentivizes multi-hazard risk assessments for the building and location for both current and future risk and hazards. And it references disaster resilience, and we have a scorecard for industrial and commercial buildings that looks at that. So we're really focusing on natural events. So think about fires, floods, etc., and then occupant issues as well. So the pandemic, which I think we've all referenced. And then there are also just a few different things that would designate man-made issues, so explosions and different events such as that. So we really try to look at all occupant issues as well.
Awesome. Alan, I saw that you responded to a couple questions in the chat, and I did just want to maybe talk about them live real quick. One about the CBEX 2003 baseline, as well as some financing. So if you just want to talk about those real quickly, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So anything regarding global benchmarking for any of the assets that are evaluated in our technical standard or available at the outset for certification. And we always consult with and validate this information with publicly available data. So particularly with any of our technical standard updates, we then do an outreach for making sure that that information continues to be correct. And then, yeah, so it includes CBEX, but also includes a lot of other data sets, given the fact that we also operate on a global basis. And then I think there was a separate question regarding PACE financing and BREEAM. We have had a number of clients express interest in doing this, but nothing as of yet here in the US. So I expect that there would be more on this in the coming years as more projects certify.
Awesome. Thank you all for answering
But
those.
both great questions.
Yeah. I don't see any more. So with that, I think we can probably wrap up a couple minutes early. I know that you had your contact information on those slides. We will send those slides out in a follow-up email in the next couple of days. So just keep an eye out for that, as well as keep an eye out for our weekly newsletters as well for any updates. So we thank all of you so much for being here with us today. I think we all learned quite a bit about these certification programs. So thank you again. Yeah, just checking that chat real quick to see if anything else came up. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of your day.